You've seen Kim Jong Un in his modest suits, waving to crowds in Pyongyang. But what if I told you he's secretly living like a billionaire playboy? Behind closed doors, this guy's got a private jet that makes Air Force One look like economy class. We're talking gold-plated everything, a full-sized movie theater, and even a waterfall inside the plane. Yeah, you heard that right. A freaking waterfall at 30,000 feet. And that's just the beginning of how Kim travels in secret luxury. Kim's secret luxury jet. So Kim's got this private jet, right? But it ain't just any old plane. This thing's called the Chami One, and it's more like a flying mansion than an aircraft. We're talking next-level luxury here, folks. First off, everything inside is gold-plated, and I mean everything. The bathroom, gold. The cockpit, gold. Even the seatbelt buckles are probably made of gold. It's like King Midas went on a decorating spree. But the gold's just the start. Kim's got a full-sized movie theater in there. Yeah, you heard that right. While you're cramped in economy watching movies on a tiny screen, Kim's stretched out in a leather recliner, munching on caviar popcorn, watching the latest blockbusters on a massive screen. Now here's where it gets wild. There's an actual waterfall inside the plane, not a little fountain or a fish tank, a legit waterfall. Can you imagine what happens during turbulence? It's probably like a water park up there. But I guess when you're Kim Jong Un, you don't worry about a little water splashing around. This jet ain't just fancy, it's expensive as hell. We're talking over $1.5 billion worth of airborne luxury. That's more than some countries spend on their entire air force. Kim could have bought a fleet of fighter jets, but nah, he went for the Flying Palace instead. And get this, the Chami One ain't even his only ride. Kim's got a whole fleet of private jets. There's the Ilyushin Il-62M, which is like the backup dancer to the Chami One's pop star. It's not as flashy, but it still beats flying coach. But here's the kicker. While Kim's jetting around in his gold-plated sky castle, most North Koreans have never even been on a plane. Hell, most of them can't even leave the country. It's like Kim's living in a whole different world up there. You'd think a billion-dollar jet would be enough for any world leader. But for Kim, that's just the appetizer. Wait till you hear about his train. This guy's got a whole different level of travel game going on, but we'll get to that in a sec. First, let's talk about how he keeps all this luxury on the down low. The armored train fit for a king. Remember that gold-plated jet? Well, Kim's got another trick up his sleeve that's even crazier. Imagine a vehicle so secure, it could probably survive a zombie apocalypse. Now picture that same ride decked out with more luxury than most five-star hotels. That's Kim's preferred method of ground transportation. We're talking about Kim's armored train, and this thing's no joke. It's like a land yacht on steroids. The whole train's bulletproof, bomb-proof, and probably anything else proof you can think of. Kim ain't taking any chances when he's rolling through the countryside. This beast's got 21 carriages, and each one's packed with more luxury than you can imagine. There's fancy bedrooms that'd make the Ritz-Carlton jealous, meeting rooms for when Kim needs to do some dictator business on the go, and even a whole car just for his favorite cigars and whiskey. Yeah, you heard that right. Dude's got an entire train car dedicated to his vices. But here's the crazy part. This train's so heavy with all that armor and luxury, it can only go about 37 miles per hour max. That's slower than most bikes. But when you're Kim Jong Un, speed don't matter. Who cares how fast you're going when you're sipping champagne in a moving fortress, right? Now let's talk money. This train ain't cheap. It's worth over $800 million. That's enough to buy half of Pyongyang probably. While most North Koreans are lucky if they can afford a bicycle, Kim's cruising around in a train that costs more than some countries' entire railway systems. But wait, it gets wilder. This train's got some seriously high-tech gadgets. There's satellite phone systems, flat-screen TVs in every car, and even a conference room with video conferencing capabilities. It's like a mobile command center. Kim can run the country from this thing if he wanted to. And the food? Oh boy. Kim's got a team of chefs on board whipping up gourmet meals 24/7. We're talking Kobe beef, fresh lobster, and probably some endangered species too. While his people are struggling to put food on the table, Kim's dining like a king on wheels. But here's the kicker. This train ain't just for Kim, it's a family heirloom. His dad, Kim Jong-il, used it too. In fact, Kim Jong-il was so paranoid, he rarely flew and used this train for most of his travels. Like father, like son, I guess. So next time you're stuck in traffic or squeezed into a crowded subway, just remember, somewhere out there, Kim Jong-un's probably lounging in his $800 million armored luxury train, sipping on some $1,000 whiskey while his country struggles to keep the lights on. Talk about traveling in style, huh? Kim's fleet of luxury cars. But Kim's lavish travel doesn't end when he steps off that train. You think his ground transportation is any less extravagant? Picture a fleet that makes James Bond's rides look like budget rentals. We're about to take a peek inside Kim's personal garage, and trust me, it's gonna make your jaw drop. Kim ain't cruising around in some beat-up old car. Nah, this guy's got a collection of wheels that'd make Jay Leno green with envy. We're talking about a garage packed with rides so fancy, most people only see them in movies. First up, Kim's got a thing for Mercedes, but not just any Mercedes. We're talking custom-made limousines worth over $1.6 million each. Yeah, you heard that right. $1.6 million for a single car. And he's got multiple of these beasts. These aren't your average limos either. They're decked out with all sorts of crazy features like bulletproof glass, reinforced doors, and probably some secret spy gadgets too. But Kim ain't stopping at Mercedes. He's also got a bunch of Rolls-Royces in his collection. 'Cause why have just one ultra-luxury car when you can have a whole fleet, right? These Rolls are the cream of the crop, each one worth more than most people make in a lifetime. Now here's where it gets really wild. Kim's favorite ride? It's a tricked-out Maybach S600 Pullman Guard. This ain't just a car, it's like a tank disguised as a limo. The armor on this thing could probably stop a rocket launcher. It's got steel plates under the body, special run-flat tires, and windows so thick they could withstand a bomb blast. But it ain't all about protection. The inside of this Maybach is pure luxury. We're talking the softest leather seats you've ever sat in, big screen TVs, and even a minibar. It's like a 5-star hotel suite on wheels. Kim can kick back, watch some propaganda, and sip on some fancy champagne while he's cruising around Pyongyang. And get this, the Maybach's so heavy with all that armor, it needs a souped-up engine just to move. It's packing a V12 that puts out over 500 horsepower. That's more power than a Ferrari, just to haul around all that luxury and protection. But here's the kicker. While Kim's rolling around in cars worth millions, most North Koreans can't even afford a bicycle. The average person there is lucky if they can scrape together enough for a used bike. It's like Kim's living in a whole different world from his people. So next time you're stuck in traffic in your regular old car, just remember, somewhere out there, Kim Jong Un's probably being chauffeured around in a $1 million armored Mercedes, watching TV and sipping champagne, while his country struggles to keep the lights on. Talk about a ride fit for a dictator, huh? The dictator's designer wardrobe. Kim's got style, and I'm not just talking about his fancy rides. This guy's wardrobe is next level. While most North Koreans are wearing whatever they can get their hands on, Kim's decked out in designer threads that'd make Hollywood stars jealous. Let's start with his suits. Kim ain't rocking off the rack stuff from the local mall. Nah, we're talking custom-made Italian jobs that cost more than most people's houses. These suits are tailored to perfection, made from the finest materials money can buy. And trust me, Kim's spending a lot of money on these bad boys. But it ain't just the suits. Take a look at those glasses Kim's always wearing. They ain't some cheap frames from the corner store. Those are Swiss-made Movado specs. Each pair costs about $800. That might not sound like much to us, but in North Korea, that's half a year's salary for most people. Kim's literally wearing people's life savings on his face. Now let's talk about the real flex, Kim's watch collection. This ain't your average Timex situation. We're talking serious luxury timepieces, Rolexes, Omegas, IWCs. Kim's got them all, and we ain't talking about just one or two. This guy's got a collection worth millions. He's probably got more value on his wrist than some countries have in their entire economy. But here's where it gets wild. Some of these watches, they were gifts from Dennis Rodman. Yeah, that Dennis Rodman. The ex-NBA star gave Kim some seriously pricey timepieces during his visits to North Korea. Talk about an unusual friendship, huh? And it ain't just the big-name brands. Kim's also got some custom pieces that are off the charts. We're talking diamond-encrusted dials, solid gold cases, the works. These ain't just watches, they're like wearable bank vaults. The craziest part? While Kim's spending millions on his wrist candy, most North Koreans can't even afford a basic watch. It's like he's living in a whole different universe from his people. Imagine spending more on watches than some countries spend on healthcare. That's Kim's reality. But the luxury don't stop there. Kim's shoes, custom-made Italian leather jobs that probably cost more than a car. His belts, probably made from some endangered species or something. Even his socks are probably made from the world's rarest cotton. It's like Kim's whole body is covered in GDP. While his people are struggling to put food on the table, he's walking around wearing their entire year's salary. It's a level of luxury that's hard to even comprehend. So next time you see Kim on TV in one of his modest suits, just remember, that outfit probably costs more than everything you own put together. And that's just what we can see. Who knows what other fashion treasures he's got hidden away in his palace closets? Kim's secret yachts. You thought Kim was just balling on land and in the air? Nah, this guy's got the sea game on lock too. Turns out, Kim's got at least 2 luxury yachts hidden away on the North Korean coast, and these ain't your average fishing boats. First up, there's this 95-foot Princess 95 Mai that's worth about $7 million. Yeah, you heard that right, $7 million for a boat. This thing's decked out with all sorts of crazy stuff. We're talking jet skis for when Kim wants to get his adrenaline fix, a jacuzzi for those relaxing nights at sea, and probably even a gold-plated anchor, cause why not? It's Kim we're talking about here. But that's nothing compared to his other yacht. This one's a massive 160-foot floating party palace. It's like Kim took a luxury hotel and just plopped it in the ocean. This beast's got a movie theater inside so Kim can watch his propaganda films while he's chilling on the waves. There's karaoke rooms too, cause apparently dictators love to sing. And get this, it's even got a water slide. Yeah, a freaking water slide on a yacht. Kim's out here living like he's in a rap video or something. While Kim's splashing around on his multi-million-dollar party boats, most North Koreans can't even afford a simple fishing boat. It's crazy to think about. Kim's dropping millions on yachts with water slides while his people are struggling to catch enough fish to feed their families. But here's the thing, Kim ain't just keeping these yachts for himself. Nah, he uses them to impress his inner circle and foreign visitors. It's like his own personal floating propaganda machine. He's showing off all this luxury to make people think North Korea's doing great, while most of the country's barely scraping by. And you know what's really wild? These yachts are probably breaking international sanctions. There are all these rules about not selling luxury goods to North Korea, but somehow Kim's still got these insane boats. It's like the rules don't apply to him or something. But you want to know the craziest part? These yachts are just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to Kim's secret luxury life. Yeah, you heard me right. As wild as these floating palaces are, they ain't nothing compared to what else Kim's got hidden away. 'Cause while Kim's out here playing rap star on his yachts, he's also got something even more insane tucked away. We're talking about private islands, folks. Yeah, Kim's got his own personal paradises that make these yachts look like rubber duckies in a bathtub. But that's a whole other story that'll blow your mind even more than these crazy boats. The dictator's private paradise islands. Alright, so you thought Kim's yachts were wild? Hold on to your hats, cause we're about to dive into something that makes those floating palaces look like inflatable pool toys. Ever wonder where a dictator goes when he needs a real getaway? Spoiler alert, it ain't your average beach resort. Kim Jong Un's got his own private islands. Yeah, you heard that right. Islands, plural. This guy's living like he's got his own personal Hawaii tucked away in North Korea. There's this one island near Wonsan that's basically Kim's slice of paradise. We're talking white sand beaches that'd make the Caribbean jealous, luxury villas that'd put the Kardashians to shame, and get this, a freaking water park. Yep, Kim's got his own water park on his private island, cause apparently sliding down tubes is how dictators relax after a long day of, well, dictating. Can you imagine Kim in his swim trunks, zooming down water slides while his security team watches nervously? It's like a bizarro world version of a family vacation. But that's not all. Kim's got another island that's just for partying. This place is like something out of a rap video. There's a massive mansion that's probably bigger than most hotels. It's got jet ski docks cause Kim needs his water toys. And there's this enormous outdoor pool that's probably big enough to fit half of Pyongyang in it. The mansion on this party island? It's decked out with all sorts of crazy stuff. We're talking gold-plated everything, a nightclub that'd make Vegas jealous, and probably some secret rooms we don't even want to know about. Kim's living it up like he's the star of his own reality show, keeping up with the Kims or something. But here's the kicker, while Kim's out here living his best island life, most North Koreans have never even seen the ocean. Yeah, you heard that right. The average person in North Korea can't even dream of a beach vacation, let alone a private island paradise. They're stuck inland, struggling to make ends meet, while their leader's got his own personal tropical getaway. And you know what's really wild? These islands are probably off limits to everyone except Kim's inner circle. It's like he's got his own little world where the rules don't apply. While his people are dealing with food shortages and power outages, Kim's biggest problem is probably deciding which water slide to hit up first. It's crazy to think about the contrast. Kim's got multiple private islands with all the luxuries you can imagine, while most of his country is struggling to get by. It's like he's living in a whole different universe from the rest of North Korea, but that's just how Kim rolls, always finding new ways to live large while keeping his lavish lifestyle under wraps. Kim's secret overseas properties. Think Kim's only got fancy digs in North Korea? Think again. This guy's got secret homes all over the world that'd make James Bond jealous. We're talking mansions, villas and penthouses in some of the swankiest spots on Earth. First up, there's rumors Kim's got a crazy expensive mansion in Switzerland. Yeah, that's right, the same country where he went to school as a kid. This ain't just some little vacation home either. We're talking about a $30 million estate that's got its own freaking vineyard. Can you imagine Kim out there stomping grapes? Me neither, but he's got the setup for it. But Switzerland ain't the only place Kim's stashing his cash. He's also got some sweet properties in China that are like backup palaces. One of them is this insane $17 million villa that's basically a fortress. It's got security tighter than Fort Knox and luxury that'd make a Saudi prince green with envy. We're talking gold-plated toilets, a private movie theater, and probably an indoor waterfall, cause why not? And get this, Kim might even have a secret pad in Moscow. Yep, right under Putin's nose. No one knows for sure, but there's whispers about a penthouse apartment that's decked out with all sorts of crazy stuff. Maybe it's where Kim goes when he needs a break from being a dictator and just wants to be a regular billionaire for a while. It's like Kim's playing real-life Monopoly, but instead of little plastic houses, he's buying up mansions all over the world, and he's keeping it all on the down low 'cause of those pesky international sanctions. Can't have the world knowing you're living large when your country's supposed to be broke, right? But here's the wild part. No one knows for sure how many properties Kim's really got. These are just the ones we've heard about. For all we know, he could have a secret underwater lair or a moon base or something. Okay, maybe not a moon base, but you get the idea. Kim's all about keeping his luxury life under wraps. And you know what's really crazy? While Kim's out here with million-dollar cribs all over the globe, most North Koreans can barely afford a one-room apartment. It's like Kim's living in a whole different universe from his people. He's jet-setting between luxury mansions while folks back home are struggling to keep the lights on. So next time you see Kim on TV looking all serious in his little suit, just remember, that guy's probably got more houses than you've got pairs of socks. And each one of those houses is probably worth more than your whole neighborhood. That's just how Kim rolls, always finding new ways to ball out while keeping it all hush-hush. The billion-dollar slush fund. You've probably been wondering how Kim affords all this crazy luxury. Well, turns out he's got a secret piggy bank that makes Fort Knox look like pocket change. We're talking billions of dollars from some seriously shady business. It's called Office 39, and it's Kim's personal ATM for all his expensive toys. This ain't your average government fund. Nah, Office 39 is into all sorts of wild stuff. We're talking drugs, weapons, and probably some other things we don't even want to know about. But here's where it gets really crazy. These guys are so good at making money, they don't even need real cash. They're printing their own fake bills that are so good, most banks can't even tell the difference. It's like Kim's got his own personal money printer, but instead of monopoly money, it's the real deal. And all this cash, it goes straight into Kim's pocket. He ain't using it to help out his country or anything. Nope, it's all for his lavish lifestyle. We're talking about $5 billion a year just for Kim to play with. That's more than some small countries make in a whole year. Think about it. While most North Koreans are struggling to put food on the table, Kim's got this secret stash that's pumping out billions. He could probably buy a small country with what he spends on watches alone. But it ain't just the money that's wild, it's how they're making it. Office 39's got its fingers in all sorts of pies. They're selling drugs, weapons, and even endangered species. If it's illegal and makes money, you can bet Office 39 is involved somehow. And get this, they're not just dealing in physical stuff. They've got a whole army of hackers stealing cryptocurrency and breaking into banks. It's like Ocean's 11, but with more nukes and bad haircuts. But the craziest part, this is all happening right under the nose of the international community. While the world's trying to shut down Kim's nuclear program, he's out here running a billion-dollar black market empire. So next time you see Kim rolling around in one of his luxury cars or jetting off in his gold-plated plane, just remember, that's all thanks to Office 39. It's like he's got his own personal Fort Knox, but instead of protecting America's gold, it's funding one man's insane spending habits. And you know what's really wild? This is probably just the tip of the iceberg. Who knows what other secret funds or shady deals Kim's got going on? One thing's for sure though, when it comes to making money on the down low, Kim Jong Un's playing in a whole different league. Kim's personal chefs and imported delicacies. Kim's not just playing in a different league with money, his diet's on a whole other planet. Ever wonder what a dictator eats when money's no object? Let's just say it ain't the same rice and vegetables his people are struggling to get. First off, Kim's got a team of personal chefs that'd make Gordon Ramsay jealous. These guys ain't just cooking, they're like food artists. And get this, they were all trained in Switzerland. That's right, Kim's importing culinary talent from one of the fanciest countries in Europe. These chefs are working around the clock, whipping up gourmet meals 24/7, because when you're a dictator, you can't be bothered with things like cooking schedules. Now let's talk about what's actually on Kim's plate. His favorite dish? Apparently it's Kobe beef and caviar. Yeah, you heard that right. While most North Koreans are lucky to get meat once a week, Kim's chowing down on some of the most expensive beef in the world, and he's topping it off with fish eggs that cost more than most people's monthly salary. But that's nothing compared to Kim's cheese habit. This guy's importing thousands of dollars worth of fancy cheese every month. We're talking about stuff like French Brie, Italian Parmigiano Reggiano, and Swiss Emmental. Kim's got a cheese budget that's bigger than some countries' entire food budgets. And don't even get me started on the booze. Kim's spending about $500,000 a year on alcohol. That's more than most people make in a lifetime, and he's blowing it all on fancy drinks. His favorite? It's this cognac that costs $630 a bottle. Just one bottle of this stuff is worth more than what the average North Korean makes in a year. But here's the real kicker. While Kim's living it up with his Michelin star meals and $1,000 drinks, most of his people are barely scraping by. The average North Korean's diet is mostly rice and vegetables, and even that's hard to come by sometimes. It's like Kim's eating in 3023 while his country's stuck in 1953. And you know what's really wild? This is probably just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to Kim's eating habits. Who knows what other crazy delicacies he's got hidden away in his palace kitchens? One thing's for sure though, when it comes to food, Kim Jong Un's definitely got expensive taste. It's just too bad he ain't sharing any of it with the rest of North Korea. The dictator's personal entertainment system. If you thought Kim's cheese budget was excessive, wait till you hear about his idea of Netflix and chill. This ain't your average home theater. We're talking about tech that makes James Bond's gadgets look like dollar store toys. Kim's got this custom entertainment system that's straight out of sci-fi. The centerpiece? A massive 1,000-inch screen that covers an entire wall. Yeah, you heard that right. While most of us are squinting at our phones, Kim's watching movies on a screen bigger than some houses. But the screen's just the start. This thing's hooked up to a supercomputer that can access pretty much any movie or show ever made. It's like having every streaming service in the world, plus stuff that ain't even out yet. 'Cause yeah, Kim's got connections in Hollywood. He's probably seen the next Marvel movie before the actors have. And it ain't just movies. Kim's got a video game collection that'd make any gamer drool. We're talking millions of dollars worth of games and consoles. He's probably got prototypes of stuff that won't hit the market for years. While most North Koreans have never even seen a PlayStation, Kim's got every gaming system known to man. But here's where it gets really wild. Kim's got a karaoke system that could put most concert venues to shame. We're talking studio quality sound, a massive song library, and probably some crazy light show too. 'Cause when you're a dictator, you gotta be ready for impromptu karaoke parties, right? And get this, all this tech is voice controlled. Kim don't need to lift a finger to change channels or start a movie. He just barks orders at his entertainment system like he does at his people. It's like Alexa, but way more advanced and probably a lot more scared of disappointing its user. The craziest part? While Kim's living it up with his futuristic entertainment setup, most North Koreans are lucky if they've got a working TV. We're talking about a country where people still use VCRs, and that's if they've got electricity at all. It's like Kim's living in 3023, while his people are stuck in 1953. But you know what's really wild? This whole setup is probably just for Kim's personal use. Can you imagine being invited over for movie night at Kim's place? You'd probably need to go through like 17 security checkpoints just to get to the popcorn machine. So next time you're browsing Netflix trying to figure out what to watch, just remember, somewhere out there, Kim Jong Un's probably watching the next big blockbuster on a screen the size of a house while playing the latest video game that won't be out for another 5 years. Talk about entertainment fit for a dictator, huh? Kim's secret medical team. Kim Jong Un's got his own personal army of doctors, and we ain't talking about your average MDs here. These are like super docs straight out of some sci-fi movie. While most of us are waiting hours in the ER, Kim's got 130 top-notch physicians on call 24/7 just for him and his family. That's more doctors than some small towns have for their entire population. But that's nothing compared to the secret hospital Kim's got hidden away in his palace. This place ain't your regular clinic. It's decked out with equipment that'd make even the fanciest US hospitals green with envy. We're talking cutting-edge MRI machines, robot surgeons, and probably some experimental tech we don't even know about yet. It's like Kim's got his own personal Mayo Clinic right in his backyard. And get this, Kim's so paranoid about his health, he's got his own blood bank with his exact blood type. Yeah, you heard that right. While most people are hoping there's enough blood at the hospital if they need it, Kim's got a whole stash of his own blood ready to go. It's like he's preparing for a vampire apocalypse or something. But here's where it gets really wild. Kim's got this personal toilet that follows him around everywhere he goes. No joke. This ain't just some fancy porta potty either. It's a high-tech bathroom on wheels that's designed to stop foreign spies from analyzing Kim's poop. 'Cause apparently, that's a thing dictators have to worry about. While most of us are happy with a clean public restroom, Kim's got a toilet that's probably smarter than most computers. This whole medical setup ain't just about keeping Kim healthy though, it's also about keeping his health a big secret. See, in North Korea, Kim's supposed to be this godlike figure who never gets sick. So all these doctors and fancy equipment, they're working overtime to make sure Kim always looks picture perfect for the cameras. Meanwhile, the average North Korean's lucky if they can see a doctor at all. Most hospitals in the country don't even have basic medicine or equipment. It's like Kim's living in the future while his people are stuck in the medical dark ages. But you know what's really crazy? Even with all these super doctors and fancy equipment, Kim still can't stop those rumors about his health. Every time he disappears from public view for a few days, the whole world starts speculating. Guess all that medical tech can't cure everything, huh? So next time you're annoyed about waiting for the doctor, just remember, somewhere out there, Kim Jong Un's probably getting a full-body scan in his private hospital while his personal toilet follows him around. It's a weird world we're living in, folks. The dictator's private amusement park. From personal hospitals to private roller coasters. Yep, you heard that right. While most world leaders are content with fancy houses and fast cars, Kim Jong Un's taking work-life balance to a whole new level. Ever wondered what it'd be like to have an entire theme park all to yourself? Well, Kim's got his own private amusement park, 'cause why not? This ain't just some backyard carnival setup. We're talking full-on Disneyland vibes, but without all those pesky lines and rules. Kim's got roller coasters that'd make Six Flags jealous, water slides that put water parks to shame, and pretty much every other ride you can think of. But here's the crazy part. Kim ain't buying his rides from just anywhere. Nah, he's importing this stuff from Europe. We're talking about coasters and rides that cost millions each. While most of us are saving up for a vacation, Kim's dropping cash on amusement park equipment like it's nothing. And get this, there's even a replica of Cinderella's castle in Kim's park. But 'cause it's Kim, it ain't just a copy. Nope, his castle's even bigger than the Disney original. It's like he looked at Disneyland and said, yeah, that's nice, but can we make it more dictatory? The wildest part? Kim can ride any of these attractions whenever he wants. No lines, no waiting, no, you must be this tall to ride signs. It's like having a fast pass for every ride, all the time. While the rest of us are planning our theme park trips months in advance, Kim's probably doing loop-de-loops on a coaster worth more than most people's houses. But here's where it gets real messed up. While Kim's out here living his best roller coaster life, most North Koreans have never even seen a Ferris wheel. Yeah, you heard that right. The average person in North Korea can't even dream of going to an amusement park, let alone having one in their backyard. It's like Kim's living in a whole different world from his people. He's got million-dollar rides and a castle that puts Disney to shame, while folks in his country are struggling to get by. It's the kind of contrast that makes your head spin faster than any coaster ever could. So next time you're waiting in line at a theme park, just remember, somewhere out there, Kim Jong Un's probably zooming around on a custom-made roller coaster that cost more than some countries' GDPs. It's a weird world we're living in, And Kim's amusement park is just another example of how out of touch he is with reality. But hey, at least he's having fun, right? Kim's secret nuclear bunker. Kim Jong Un ain't just ready for the good times, he's prepped for the end times too. While we're stocking up on canned beans and toilet paper, Kim's got a whole underground city that'd make doomsday preppers drool. We're talking about a secret nuclear bunker that's bigger than some small towns. This thing's got 300,000 square feet of space that could survive pretty much anything. Nuclear war? No problem. Zombie apocalypse? Bring it on. It's like Kim looked at those luxury bomb shelters rich folks are buying and said, "Hold my beer." But this ain't just some bare-bones survival setup. Nah, Kim's bunker's got its own power plant, water supply, and air filtration system. It's like he's got a mini city down there. While the rest of us are worried about keeping the lights on, Kim's underground paradise is running smooth 24/7. And get this, there's enough food and supplies in there to last for years. We ain't talking about MREs and protein bars either. Knowing Kim, it's probably stocked with caviar, fancy cheese, and enough top-shelf booze to keep a small army drunk for decades. But here's where it gets really wild. This bunker ain't just about survival, it's got all the luxury stuff too. There's movie theaters down there, swimming pools, and probably even a roller coaster, 'cause why not? It's like Kim took his favorite parts of his above-ground palaces and just stuffed them underground. The craziest part? This bunker could probably survive a full-on nuclear war, and Kim would still be living large. While the rest of the world's turning into fallout, Kim's down there watching movies on a giant screen and doing laps in his private pool. It's like he's preparing for the apocalypse, but make it fancy. Most people's idea of doomsday prep is a few cans of soup and some bottled water. Kim's over here with an underground luxury resort that'd make 5-star hotels jealous. But you know what's really messed up? While Kim's got this insane bunker that could keep him comfy through anything, most North Koreans don't even have reliable electricity. It's like Kim's living in the future while his people are stuck in the past. So next time you're thinking about your emergency kit, just remember, somewhere out there, Kim Jong Un's got an underground city that's nicer than most people's regular houses. It's a weird world we're living in, and Kim's secret bunker is just another example of how far he'll go to live large, even when the world's ending. The contrast, Kim's luxury versus North Korean reality. While Kim's living it up with his billion-dollar toys, most North Koreans are barely scraping by. It's like they're living in two different worlds. Kim's got his gold planes and luxury trains, but the average person in North Korea, they're lucky if they can afford a bicycle. Let's break it down. Most North Koreans are living on less than $2 a day. That's not even enough to buy a fancy coffee in some places. Meanwhile, Kim's got a slush fund worth billions. He's spending more on watches than some countries spend on healthcare. But it ain't just about money. While Kim's jetting around the world in his private plane, most North Koreans can't even leave their own country. They're stuck dealing with food shortages, power outages, and zero freedom. It's like being trapped in a really big, really poor prison. And get this, North Korea's entire GDP is only about $32 billion. That's nothing compared to what Kim's spending on his luxury lifestyle. He's got a private island that's probably worth more than some small countries. It's crazy to think about. Kim's got personal chefs cooking him gourmet meals 24/7, while most of his people are struggling to put food on the table. He's sipping on cognac that costs more than what the average North Korean makes in a year. And don't even get me started on his car collection. While most North Koreans are lucky to have a bicycle, Kim's got a fleet of luxury cars that'd make Jay Leno jealous. But here's the real kicker. All this luxury comes at a price, and it ain't Kim who's paying it. It's the millions of North Koreans who are suffering while their leader lives like a trillionaire playboy. That's the real secret of how Kim Jong Un travels, on the backs of his own people. It's like Kim's got his own personal paradise, complete with roller coasters and water parks, while the rest of North Korea's stuck in the dark ages. He's got a nuclear bunker that's nicer than most hotels, while his people are living in houses that can barely keep the rain out. So next time you see Kim on TV, looking all serious in his little suit, just remember, behind that facade is a guy who's living it up while his country suffers. He's got more money than he knows what to do with, and he's spending it all on himself. It's a crazy world we're living in, and Kim Jong Un's lifestyle is just another example of how messed up things can get when one person has all the power and none of the conscience.